When my phone rang at 3 a.m. and the caller ID showed my own number, I thought it was a glitch. When I answered and heard my own voice say, "Don't answer the next call. Just say no. You have 10 minutes." I thought I was losing my mind. But when the phone rang again exactly 10 minutes later and I saw who was really calling, I realized I'd just received a warning from myself in a future I was about to live through. What happened in those next 10 minutes saved my life and revealed a technology scam that had already killed 3 women. My name is Sienna Walsh. I'm 27 years old, and I work as a pharmacy technician in Denver, Colorado. I live alone in a small apartment and consider myself a rational, logical person who doesn't believe in supernatural things or conspiracy theories. But that 3 a.m. phone call from my own number changed everything I thought I understood about reality, technology, and the very specific danger I was in at that exact moment. Before we get into this, hit that subscribe button and drop a comment telling me where you're watching from. I'd love to hear from you. I work at a busy pharmacy in downtown Denver. I've been doing this job for about 4 years now, ever since I finished my pharmacy tech certification. I work the afternoon shift most days, from 1 p.m. until 9 p.m. It's repetitive work, counting pills, managing prescriptions, dealing with insurance issues, but it's stable, and I like my coworkers. The pay is decent enough that 2 years ago I finally saved up enough to get my own apartment in Capitol Hill. After years of dealing with roommates and their drama, having my own space felt like such an achievement. I'm really close with my older brother Ryan. He lives in Boulder with his wife Kelsey and their 5-year-old daughter Mia. Ryan works as a software engineer, and he's always been the overprotective big brother type. He's constantly sending me articles about cybersecurity threats, phone scams, identity theft, all that stuff. I usually just roll my eyes and delete the messages, but I know he means well. He just worries about me living alone in the city. Our parents live in Colorado Springs, about an hour south, and we all get together once a month for family dinner. It's nice having everyone relatively close. I've been casually dating this guy named Owen for about 3 months now. He's an elementary school teacher, really sweet and easygoing. We met on a dating app and have been taking things slow, just seeing where it goes. Nothing serious yet, but I like spending time with him. I also have a close friend from high school, Jade, who works as a nurse. She's one of the few people I really open up to about personal stuff. Other than that, my social life is pretty quiet. I'm okay with that. I like my routine. Work, gym a few times a week, occasional dates with Owen, Netflix before bed. It's simple and predictable, and after growing up in a chaotic household, I appreciate predictable. The night everything changed was a Tuesday, in March. Just a completely normal day. I worked my regular shift at the pharmacy, came home around 9:30, made myself some pasta for dinner, and watched an episode of this crime documentary series I'd been binge watching. I went to bed around 11, maybe a little earlier because I was tired. My phone was charging on my nightstand like it always is, and I had it set to do not disturb mode the way I do every night. The only people who can call through that setting are my favorites list, which is just Ryan, my parents, and Jade. Anyone else gets sent straight to voicemail until morning. I fell asleep pretty quickly. I remember being really tired from standing all day at work. I was completely out, sleeping deeply, not dreaming about anything I can remember. Then at 3:07 a.m., my phone started ringing. The sound cut through my sleep, and I woke up confused and disoriented. My room was completely dark except for the glow of my phone screen on the nightstand. I reached for it automatically, still half asleep, not really thinking clearly. I looked at the caller ID and my brain couldn't process what I was seeing. The screen showed my own phone number, not a number that looked similar, not something close. My exact number, area code, and everything. I stared at it, trying to make sense of it. How was my phone calling itself? Was this some kind of technical error? I answered it without really thinking. My brain was still foggy from being woken up so suddenly. Hello? There was this brief pause, maybe 2 seconds of silence. Then I heard a voice that made every hair on my body stand up. It was my voice, not someone who sounded like me. It was me, my exact voice, but the tone was different, stressed, urgent, almost panicked. Sienna, listen very carefully. Don't answer the next call you receive. No matter what the person says, no matter what they threaten, just say no and hang up. You have 10 minutes, maybe less. Just remember, say no. Then the line went dead, just like that. Complete silence. I sat straight up in bed, my heart pounding like crazy. I turned on my bedside lamp with shaking hands, needing light to prove this was real, and I wasn't having some weird nightmare. I looked at my phone screen again, staring at the recent calls list. There it was, an incoming call from my own number at 3:07 a.m., duration 28 seconds. That had really just happened. I'd answered a call from my own phone number and heard my own voice warning me about something. I pressed the call back button, trying to reach whoever had just called me. The phone rang and rang, but no one answered. Just endless ringing until it eventually disconnected. I checked the time. 3:08 a.m. The voice had said I had 10 minutes. 10 minutes until what? What call was I not supposed to answer? My mind was racing, trying to come up with logical explanations. Was I dreaming right now? I pinched my arm hard enough to leave a red mark. Definitely awake. Was this some kind of new scam my brother Ryan had warned me about? He was always sending me articles about phone fraud and identity theft, but I'd never heard of anything like this. Scammers fake phone numbers all the time, sure, but how would they make it show my exact number? And why would they use my voice to warn me about their own scam? That made absolutely no sense. I grabbed my laptop from my desk and opened it, typing frantically into the search bar. Phone call from own number. Received call from my number. Voice cloning scam. I found articles about something called neighbor spoofing, where scammers fake caller IDs to make it look like they're calling from a local number so people are more likely to answer. I found information about voice cloning technology, where AI can supposedly replicate someone's voice from just a short audio sample. But nothing explained receiving a call from your exact number with your own voice. Nothing that matched what had just happened to me. I checked the time again. 3:12 a.m. 6 minutes left until whatever was supposed to happen. My hands were sweating so much I almost dropped my phone. I considered calling Ryan, waking him up and telling him what happened. But what would I even say? Hey, I just got a phone call from myself warning me about another call? He'd think I'd had a nightmare or was having some kind of breakdown. I looked at my phone, gripping it so tight my knuckles were white, watching the minutes change. 3:13 a.m., 3:14 a.m., 5 minutes until the mystery call, 4 minutes. This was insane. I was sitting in my bedroom in the middle of the night, terrified of a phone call because of some weird prank or technical glitch. But that voice, it had sounded so genuinely scared, and it had known my name. It had called me Sienna. At 3:16 a.m., I was staring at my phone so intensely my eyes were starting to hurt. 1 minute left. My finger hovered over the power button, thinking maybe I should just turn the phone off completely, but I needed to know what this was about. I needed answers. At exactly 3:17 a.m., my phone lit up and started ringing. The caller ID showed unknown number. My breath caught in my throat. This was it. This was the call the warning was about. Every instinct in my body was screaming at me to decline it, to follow the warning. But I couldn't help myself. I needed to understand what was happening. I answered the call and put it to my ear. Hello? A man's voice came through, professional and friendly, the kind of voice that immediately sounds trustworthy. Is this Sienna Walsh? I hesitated for a second. Yes, who's calling? The voice continued, warm and concerned, like he was genuinely worried about me. Ms. Walsh, this is Officer Derek Martinez with the Denver Police Department. I apologize for calling at this hour, but we have an urgent situation. Your brother Ryan has been in a serious car accident. He's being transported to Denver General Hospital as we speak. We need you to verify some information so we can update you on his condition and you can get to the hospital right away. Can you confirm your address for our records? My stomach dropped to the floor. Ryan, my brother, had been in an accident. He was hurt, maybe badly hurt, and they needed me. I needed to get to the hospital immediately. Oh my God, is he okay? What happened? How bad is it? My voice was shaking, panic rising in my chest. Officer Martinez kept his tone calm and steady. "He's receiving medical attention right now, ma'am. The paramedics are with him and he's conscious. But we need to move quickly. I need to verify your identity and address before I can give you more detailed information about his condition. This is standard protocol for emergency notifications involving family members. Can you please confirm your full legal name, date of birth, and current residential address?" Something in the back of my mind was screaming at me. This was wrong. Something about this was very wrong. But all I could think about was Ryan hurt in a hospital. I opened my mouth to give him my information. Then it hit me like a punch to the gut. The warning, "Don't answer the next call. Just say no." This was it. This was exactly what I'd been warned about. But this was about Ryan, my brother. This was a real emergency. How could I say no? The officer's voice continued in my ear, still calm and professional, but with an edge of urgency now. "Ms. Walsh, we really need this information quickly. Your brother specifically asked for you before they loaded him into the ambulance. Time is critical here. Can you also provide your social security number? The hospital needs it to verify your identity as next of kin so they can begin treatment immediately and keep you updated on his condition throughout the procedure." Social security number. That single phrase cut through my panic like a knife. Why would the police need my social security number for a hospital? Why would they call from an unknown number instead of an official police department line? And most importantly, why had my future self called 10 minutes ago to warn me specifically about this exact call? My hand tightened around the phone so hard it hurt. The warning replayed in my head. Don't answer the next call. No matter what they say, no matter what they threaten, just say no. No, I said, my voice shaking but firm. I'm not giving you any information. Who are you really? There was a pause on the other end of the line, a long pause that felt like hours. Then the friendly, professional tone completely vanished from the man's voice, replaced with something cold and threatening. "Ms. Walsh, if you don't cooperate with this emergency protocol, your brother's treatment is going to be seriously delayed. Do you really want to be responsible for that? Do you want to explain to your family why you refused to help when Ryan needed you most?" I felt anger rising up through my fear. This was manipulation. This was exactly what Ryan had warned me about in all those articles I'd ignored. Social engineering, creating fake emergencies to make people panic and give up personal information. "You're not a police officer," I said, trying to keep my voice steady. "Ryan isn't in any accident. This is a scam and I'm hanging up now." The voice on the other end dropped all pretense of friendliness. "You think you're smart, don't you? That warning call you got earlier, do you really believe that was you from the future? You have no idea what you're involved in now. You just made a very serious mistake." The line went dead. I sat there staring at my phone, my whole body shaking. I immediately pulled up Ryan's contact and called him. My hands were trembling so badly, I could barely tap the screen. The phone rang once, twice, 3 times. "Please answer. Please be okay. Please be alive and safe in your bed." On the 5th ring, Ryan's voice came through, groggy and annoyed. "Sienna, what the hell? It's 3 in the morning. What's wrong?" The relief that flooded through me was so powerful, I started crying. "You're okay. Oh my God, you're okay. You're not in an accident. You're at home." Ryan's voice immediately shifted from annoyed to concerned. "Of course I'm okay. I'm in bed. What are you talking about? Are you okay? Did something happen?" I told him everything. The words came pouring out in a jumbled rush. The call from my own number at 307 with my own voice warning me. The instruction to say no to the next call. The fake police officer calling exactly 10 minutes later claiming Ryan was in an accident and asking for my social security number. How I'd almost given it to them because I was so scared for him. How the warning had saved me from falling for it. As I talked, I heard Ryan get out of bed and move to another room. He was probably going to his home office, so he wouldn't wake up Kelsey and Mia. When I finally finished, there was a long silence on the other end. Then Ryan spoke, and his voice had that focused, analytical tone he gets when he's working through a complex problem. "Sienna, that second call was definitely a phishing attack. Voice phishing combined with social engineering. They create a fake emergency involving someone you love to bypass your logical thinking and get you to hand over personal information in a panic state. It's actually a pretty common scam, but the first call, the one from your own number with your voice, that doesn't fit any pattern I've ever heard of. That's not how these scams work. I could hear him typing on his computer, probably already researching. Did you record either call? Check your phone's recent calls list and see if there's any more detailed information about where they actually originated from. I pulled my phone away from my ear and navigated to my recent calls. The call from my own number at 3:07 showed a duration of 28 seconds. The call from unknown number at 3:17 showed 1 minute and 47 seconds. But there was no other identifying information, no way to trace where they'd actually come from. Ryan, I'm telling you, that first voice was me. I know what my own voice sounds like. It was my exact voice, my cadence, everything. How is that even possible? Ryan was quiet for a moment, still typing. There's AI voice cloning technology now that can replicate someone's voice from just a few seconds of audio sample, but they'd need to have a recording of your voice first. Have you posted any videos on social media recently? Left voicemails anywhere? Done any phone surveys or customer service calls where your voice might have been recorded? I thought back over the past few weeks. My social media accounts were all set to private, and I rarely posted videos anyway. But I had called my doctor's office last week and left a voicemail about rescheduling an appointment. And I'd done a phone survey for my car insurance company a few days ago that had me speaking for several minutes. Ryan was still thinking out loud on the other end of the phone, his software engineer brain working through the logic. Okay, so they could have cloned your voice from a recording. But here's what I can't get past. Why would scammers call you first to warn you about their own scam? That's completely backwards. It defeats the entire purpose. Unless the first call wasn't from the scammers at all. I wiped my eyes, trying to calm down enough to think clearly. What are you saying? Ryan's voice dropped lower, like he was reluctant to say what he was thinking. I'm saying, what if that really was you? What if somehow you called yourself from 3:17 back to 3:07? I know that sounds completely insane, but think about the timeline. You got the warning at 3:07. The scam call came at 3:17. Exactly 10 minutes later, just like the warning said. What if you're going to figure out some way to send a message back to yourself from 10 minutes in the future? My rational brain immediately rejected this. Ryan, that's not possible. Time travel isn't real. There has to be some other explanation that actually makes sense. But even as I said it, I couldn't think of one. Ryan agreed it sounded crazy, but told me to try to get some sleep and we'd figure it out tomorrow. He made me promise to report the scam attempt to the police. Then we hung up, but I couldn't sleep. I sat on my bed staring at my phone, thinking about everything that had happened. At 3:30 a.m., I made a decision. I opened my voice recorder app and started recording. This is Sienna Walsh, March 12th at 3:30 a.m. If I somehow find a way to call my past self, I need to remember exactly what to say. The warning has to be specific. Don't answer the next call. Just say no. You have 10 minutes. The scammer will claim to be a police officer calling about Ryan in an accident. He'll ask for personal information and social security number. Say no and hang up immediately. I saved the recording and titled it Emergency Warning, then spent the next few hours researching everything I could find about phone system glitches, time anomalies, anything that might explain what happened. 3 days later, I got a call from Detective Lisa Chen with the Denver Police Department Fraud Division. She asked to meet with me in person to discuss my police report. We met at a coffee shop near my apartment, and she brought a file folder that she set on the table between us. Ms. Walsh, your report caught our attention because it matches a pattern we've been investigating. You're the fourth woman in Denver to report receiving a warning call from her own number right before being targeted by this specific scam. My eyes went wide. 4 of us? So this has happened to other people? Detective Chen's expression was grim. Yes, but here's the problem. You're the only one who survived. She opened the folder and showed me photos of 3 women, all around my age. Alexis Brennan, 29. Warning call on September 18th. Scam call 10 minutes later about her mother. She gave them everything. 2 days later, someone accessed her accounts and showed up at her apartment. She was found dead, staged to look like suicide. Danielle Park, 31. Warning call November 3rd. Scam call about her husband being arrested. Gave her information. Dead 4 days later. Rachel Torres, 26. Warning call January 22nd. Scam call about her sister. Dead 3 days later. I felt like I was going to be sick. They killed them? But why? Detective Chen leaned forward. Because this wasn't just identity theft for financial fraud. This was an organized operation stealing identities to traffic people. They'd lure women to locations under false pretenses, abduct them, and kill them when they became problems. You're the first person who actually followed the warning and refused to give information. You broke their pattern. She pulled out more documents. We brought in tech consultants to analyze the phone data from all 4 cases. What they found is strange. The warning calls appear to have originated from a telecom routing glitch that created what they're calling a closed temporal loop. Essentially, your phone signal at 3:17 when you were stressed and in danger somehow got sent backward through a specific server configuration to 3:07. It shouldn't be possible according to normal physics, but the technical data shows it happened. The detective explained that the criminal operation had been using AI voice cloning combined with real-time surveillance. They'd record victims' voices from various sources, use AI to replicate them, and hack into phones to gather family information to make the fake emergencies believable. But their sophisticated phone system had an unintended flaw that occasionally created what the tech experts called a temporal echo, where the victim's future voice during the scam call would bounce backward through the system to reach them 10 minutes earlier. It's like a recording that got played at the wrong time due to a technical error, Detective Chen explained. Your future self at 3:17, realizing the danger, essentially, created an audio echo that reached your past self at 3:07. Using my case and the phone records, police tracked the operation to a criminal network with 7 people involved. They were arrested within days. The operation had been targeting single women living alone, using these elaborate social engineering scams to extract information for identity theft and human trafficking. The 3 murdered women had all received the same impossible warning I did, their future selves desperately trying to save them. But 2 hadn't answered the first call, and 1 hadn't taken it seriously. The investigation revealed that the criminal network had been operating for over 2 years, successfully scamming dozens of people and targeting vulnerable individuals across multiple states. The 3 murdered women, Alexis, Danielle, and Rachel, were cases where the victims had become suspicious after initially providing information and had threatened to contact authorities. The criminals had killed them to eliminate the risk of exposure, staging each death to look like suicide to avoid murder investigations. The telecom engineer who designed their sophisticated phone routing system had discovered the temporal echo glitch early on, but dismissed it as an irrelevant technical quirk. He never imagined that his own flawed technology was giving victims a chance to save themselves by sending warnings backward through time. The 7 people involved received sentences ranging from 25 years to life in prison for fraud, identity theft, kidnapping, conspiracy, and 3 counts of murder. I testified at the trial, describing both phone calls in detail and how the warning had saved my life. The defense tried to discredit the time loop explanation as impossible, but telecommunications engineers and even a physicist testified as expert witnesses. They explained that while it wasn't time travel in the science fiction sense, the specific configuration of digital servers and signal routing could create brief temporal anomalies where signals got delayed or misrouted in unexpected ways. In this rare case, the glitch sent audio signals backward by approximately 10 minutes rather than forward. The families of Alexis, Danielle, and Rachel finally got answers about what happened to their daughters, though the pain of losing them would never go away. I attended memorial services for all 3 women, feeling this strange, deep connection to people I'd never met, but who had tried desperately in their final moments to save themselves through an impossible phone call that their past selves either didn't receive, didn't answer, or didn't believe. Detective Chen told me privately that phone records showed Alexis had received her warning call but didn't answer, letting it go to voicemail. When police recovered her phone after her death, they found a 30-second voicemail of her own terrified voice saying, "Please answer. You need to answer. They're going to kill you." Danielle had answered her warning call, but thought it was some kind of prank and hung up immediately without listening. Rachel had answered and heard the full warning, but convinced herself it was a stress-induced hallucination. So when the scam call came 10 minutes later, she engaged with it, thinking it was real. 3 women who could have survived if they just trusted the impossible. 3 future versions of themselves who tried everything to reach back and change their fates, but failed. My relationship with my brother Ryan became even stronger after all this. He'd been right to constantly warn me about cybersecurity threats and phone scams. Even when I rolled my eyes at his paranoia, his immediate understanding of social engineering tactics had helped me process what happened and realize I wasn't losing my mind. Ryan became somewhat obsessed with the technical aspects of the case, spending months researching temporal signal anomalies in telecommunications. He eventually wrote a detailed paper about the phenomenon that was published in a cybersecurity journal. He's convinced that technology might be accidentally creating other temporal effects that we haven't noticed yet, glitches in our connected world that could have profound implications we don't understand. The experience fundamentally changed how I think about reality and what's possible. I'd always been skeptical of anything that seemed supernatural or impossible, dismissing it as superstition or wishful thinking. But now I understand that sometimes the impossible is just technology we haven't fully figured out yet. That warning call from my own number wasn't magic or divine intervention. It was my own voice, my own desperate words, bouncing through a flawed system in a way that defied normal physics, but was still technically explainable by people smarter than me. I started volunteering with organizations that teach people about phone scams and social engineering attacks. I share my story publicly, explaining how criminals create fake emergencies involving loved ones, specifically because they know panic makes people stop thinking logically. I always emphasize that real police officers never call from blocked or unknown numbers demanding personal information. Real hospitals don't require social security numbers before treating accident victims. Any call that demands immediate action and sensitive information is almost certainly a scam. My presentations always end with the same core message: trust your instincts, verify every emergency through official channels by calling numbers you look up yourself, and if something feels wrong, it probably is. Never let anyone rush you into making decisions based on fear. I kept the voice recording I made at 3:30 a.m. that first night, the one where I documented exactly what warning I'd need to give myself if I ever found a way to call backward through time. I never needed to use it because the arrests shut down the entire operation and phone companies patched the technical vulnerability that created the temporal loop. But I keep that recording on my phone as a reminder that I was willing to believe something impossible when it mattered most, and that belief saved my life. My friend Jade asked me once if I really truly believe I called myself from the future, if I actually think my consciousness at 3:17 reached back to 3:07. My answer is honest. I don't know if I believe it in a metaphysical or spiritual sense, but I know for certain that my voice came through that phone warning me about something that hadn't happened yet, and listening to that warning saved my life. Whether it was actual time travel, a technical glitch that mimicked time travel, or something else entirely doesn't matter as much as the fact that I took it seriously and acted on it. Detective Chen stays in touch with me, occasionally calling to update me on related cases or ask my thoughts on new phone scam reports. During one conversation months after the trial, she shared something that still haunts both of us. The phone company records showed that all 3 murdered women had received their warning calls just like I did. Every single one of them had a chance to save herself. Alexis's future self left that desperate voicemail begging her past self to answer. Danielle's future self tried to warn her, but got dismissed as a prank. Rachel's future self delivered a clear warning that got rationalized away as impossible. 3 women who could have lived if they'd just trusted something that seemed crazy in the moment. I sometimes wake up at 3 a.m. and look at my phone, thinking about those women and how close I came to being the 4th photo in Detective Chen's folder. I think about the strange mercy of a technical glitch that gave its victims one chance to save themselves, even though most didn't recognize it for what it was. I think about my future self at 3:17, realizing she was in terrible danger and somehow managing to send a warning back through time to save us both. Every choice I make now feels heavier because I know I'm living a future that almost didn't exist. Here's what I need everyone watching this to understand. If you ever receive a call from your own number, answer it. If you hear your own voice warning you about danger, listen. I know it sounds impossible and insane, but in our hyper-connected digital world, strange things happen with technology that we don't fully understand yet. More practically and importantly, never give personal information to unexpected callers claiming there's an emergency involving someone you love. Always hang up and verify through official channels. Call your family member directly on a number you know is theirs. Contact hospitals or police departments through numbers you look up yourself, never through numbers the caller provides. Scammers are sophisticated, and they specifically rely on creating panic that overrides your logical thinking. They use time pressure and emotional manipulation to make you act before you can think clearly. If this story made you think differently about digital safety and trusting your instincts, hit that subscribe button right now and leave a comment telling me your thoughts. Update your phone's security settings today. Be skeptical of unexpected calls, especially ones claiming emergencies. Research common scam tactics so you can recognize them. Trust your gut when something feels wrong, even if you can't explain why. I survived because a version of myself from 10 minutes in the future managed to send a warning backward through a technological glitch that defied physics. You might not get that kind of second chance. Protect yourself now by being informed, cautious, and willing to say no when someone demands information you shouldn't give. Your future self can't save you if you don't make smart choices in the present. Thank you for watching, and please, stay safe out there and trust yourself when something doesn't feel right.